Thank you, Peggy. It is indeed a pleasure for our board to be associated with this event, and we're particularly pleased to have Dr. Wendy Nickerson with us. Now, Dr. Nickerson was born in Shelburne County, and she had her early education here, and for a while she also worked at the community college, our local community college. Then, from there, she went on to a very good university in Nova Scotia, Acadia University, where she did her Bachelor of Arts degree, majoring in psychology. When she was through that, she went on to further studies at the same university and did her Master of Science degree in community and clinical psychology. From there, she moved on and did her doctorate in clinical psychology in Florida at the Institute of Technology in Melbourne, Florida. Dr. Nickerson specializes in developing healthy lifestyles, behavioral nutrition, dealing with chronic pain and illness, psychoneuroimmunology, and she'll tell you what that is all about, improving self-image, establishing a life's purpose, eliminating stress, depression and anxiety, and enhancing spiritual growth and nourishment. Dr. Nickerson now lives in Arizona, and we're particularly happy to have her here today, and I now give you Dr. Nickerson.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I guess there was a confusion in time tonight. I thought it was supposed to be here at 6:30, and as it turns out, it was advertised at 6. So there might be a lot more people coming in at 6:30 because I've advertised it at that time. I'm going to take this out. I'm not good at standing still, so I know that's not good for the videographer. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I appreciate you being here, and I sure hope when you leave here tonight, you take something with you that you did not come with. And it's more than that piece of paper that was passed out. I hope you get a nugget of information that truly enhances your life. One of the things that you'll notice about my talks is that I have a topic. The topic tonight is mind, body, spirit, wellness. And I was so delighted to see this. Mind, body, spirit, just the notation of it here. So that's fabulous. And if I'm guided, I will go off the tangent, off on little tangents here and there. So please bear with me. The first thing I'm going to do is be comfortable, take my shoes off. All right. So the feedback that I've been getting in the talks that I've been giving locally is we want to know more about you. And so I am going to take a couple of minutes at the beginning of tonight's talk and tell you a little bit more about me, because I guess for me it just seems like my life has been an evolution and it has evolved very slowly, but other people don't quite see it that way. They see me as having gone from a high school dropout to what I do today. And what happened was I was born and raised in Woods Harbor, and it was a rather challenging life, and again, it's those challenges that we use as stepping stones to get where we need to go in life, whether it be through illness, through relationships, through financial difficulties, or whatever. And so I became pregnant in grade 11 and dropped out of school, and a few years later I got married, and 10 years later I got divorced, and that's when I went on, decided, I can't stay where I'm at. I was very depressed because I barely had enough money to get by on. I was raising 2 kids, and so I went to Acadia University. So I know all about the government systems, I know all about subsidized housing, I know all about food stamps, I know all about how it all works, and I definitely know about stress. So one of my passionate topics is learning to live with stress, and learning to understand how stress affects our health, the quality of our mental health and our physical health. And so throughout my life, what I've tried to do is get a handle on my anxiety. Get a handle on my stress, but mainly my anxiety. Because anxiety is genetic. It's also pre-programmed with thoughts that we're told when we're young. And we form a program, just like a hard drive in a computer. We form a program in our brain that basically runs all the time. Even when we turn our computers off, or sometimes the hard drive still is there, that's how our hard drive is in our brain. And so anxiety is irrational thoughts that I am not good enough, it's not going to be okay, I'm not going to be safe, something bad's going to happen. And when we have those thoughts running, whether they're conscious or unconscious, and by the way, most of them are unconscious. We're not aware that we have them. We just know we have anxiety. We don't know why. Whenever, for example, if you're going on a trip, all of a sudden, as soon as you start to get out of your comfort zone, you start to get sweaty and shaky, and your stomach gets upset, and all those sorts of things. Welcome! No, you're on time. We had two different times starting. So, what happens when we experience anxiety is the body shoots cortisol through our body. And it's sort of like having the gas pedal to the metal. And it prevents your immune system from functioning properly, and in addition to that, it wears out your organs, basically. And it causes cellular compromise. It's just so destructive to the body. So if we can learn to relax, learn to get a handle on our negative thinking, that is truly one of the best gifts we can give ourselves. Absolutely, that is an amazing gift. And the other thing is, your children are watching this. Your children are seeing you in potentially stressful situations, and they're watching how you react emotionally. And so they will train themselves to do the same thing. And your parents will too. You know, we learn from our children. I've certainly learned from mine. And so we learn from our children, and so not only your children, but your parents, they'll both benefit from you learning to get a handle on any negative thoughts that you might have. Now, one of the most popular ways to get rid of negative thoughts is to replace them with positive thoughts. But that's kind of like pouring oil on water. Yeah, you might say a positive thought, but the negative thought is right back there again. And so what you do first is you create an empty space between your thoughts, which is called meditation. You create an empty space, and you implant positive thoughts in between there. You can't override a negative thought with a positive thought. Like, for instance, if I'm driving across a bridge, and let's say I'm terrified to drive across the bridge, and I say to myself, this is going to be a fun ride driving across this bridge. It likely will not work, because I've lived with that negative thought that it's going to be scary for too many years. And so what would be a better way to handle that would be to breathe, breathe. Teach yourself to get in a space where you're in a relaxed state, then you can say the positive thought and it will take. But you cannot just cover up a negative thought with a positive thought. Our thoughts are so incredibly powerful. Our brain dictates to our body what to do. I can talk myself into, if I wanted to, I have a back injury, and I can talk myself into that back injury flaring up. That is how powerful the body will do whatever the mind focuses on. Now, what do we do when we get ill? We focus on it. And not only that, we get on the phone and we call everybody. And we tell them about our doctor's appointments. And we have sleepless nights and we wonder, oh my, am I going to get better? You know, should I prepare my will? Like on and on and on and on, and the negative spiraling goes and goes and goes and goes. They did some research a while back. This is how powerful the mind is over the body. They did some research on over 2,000 people that needed knee surgery. And they, on 1,000 of them, they actually did the knee surgery. On the other 1,000 of them, what they did was they told them that they were going to do this knee surgery. And they showed them up on a screen, only it wasn't their knee that they were looking at on the screen. They didn't know that. And they were watching it, and they cut a slit on each side of the knee, and it showed now we're opening it up, and the person was watching it because they weren't put under, they were just local. And so they thought they actually had the surgery, and the knee was getting scraped out, and then they followed all of these patients years later, and the ones who did not have the knee surgery, they just had the placebo, they just had the fake knee surgery, healed as well, if not better than the ones that actually had the surgery. So they thought they had the surgery, and they got well. That is how powerful the mind is. And, you know, I often think of Joel Osteen, and he talks a lot about his mother who had cancer 20-something years ago, and instead of getting all upset about it, of course, she went into prayer, and she remained positive, despite what the doctors told her, despite the evidence, she remained positive. There has been so much research that has been done on people that have been diagnosed with cancer in particular, other chronic illnesses also, but cancer in particular, and they have measured them for optimism. Optimism is when you're able to see the glass half full. And some people are optimistic, some people are more pessimistic, and some people are right in the middle. But if the people that were optimistic healed from the cancer, like I think it was like 85% more than the people that were pessimistic, had a pessimistic attitude. And so learned optimism is so, so important. Training our mind, our brain to be positive, and to not believe our thoughts. You know, the most amazing thing to me is that we believe our thoughts. We believe what we think. Now, if you were raised in a home that's perfect, which none of us are, that's fine if you believe what you think. But if you're raised in a home where there's a lot of fear, jealousy, anger, resentment, all the lower vibrational emotions, then your thought structure is going to be based on that, because we form our thoughts before the age of 5, our basic structure, like the baseline. We form that before the age of 5. So if you could put those thoughts in there, you can now change them. But it does take work. But can you imagine if you changed one thought a day? How the quality of your life, oh my. This is what took me so many years to learn. I think the only reason I learned it was because I had to. Because otherwise I would have had so much anxiety, I wouldn't have been able to function and do what I wanted to in life. I want you to think of the last time that you felt happy. The last time that you felt happy. And I want you to realize that in that moment that you felt happy, you were actually doing your body and your mind a tremendous benefit. Tremendous. When we feel happy, when we laugh. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, I took my grandson out to a movie, and he wanted to go see one of those killer ones. And, no, let's go see a happy movie. I need to see a happy movie. So anyway, happiness has been related to wellness. Learning to be happy. And a lot of people think that happiness is about money, but the research has shown that after $70,000 a year for a 4 or 5 person family, anything over that, your percentage of happiness does not increase very much. There are certain basic needs that we have, and so if someone made $70,000 and someone made $250,000, the person that made $250,000 would not be that much happier than the one that made $70,000. And another more recent study came out, and it wasn't so much about the $70,000, it was more about if you made more than most people in the organization that you worked for. For instance, if you made $50,000 and everyone else was making $30,000, you were happier than if you were working in another organization and you were making $100,000 and everyone else was making $150,000. Basically, if you're on the higher end of the totem pole, we're happier. And regardless of what the amount is. So that's a little bit about ego and, you know, I am better than thou type thinking. But that's how we are typically as human beings. So learning to be happy. What prevents us from being happy? Well, typically it's because we will not accept that the universe is working on our behalf. We can't believe that things are being lined up for us to have a good life. And it's things behind the scenes. We have been taught life is hard. They actually said that at the graduation that I gave the talk to in Barrington. Life is hard, you need to be tough. And actually, in some instances, that is the case. However, if you tell someone that life is hard, guess what? They will expect it to be hard, and it will be hard. Our expectancies dictate the choices we make, the decisions we make, how difficult we perceive the next step of our life to be. Our expectancies are so, so important. And so, the things that get in our way of being happy are not accepting our life the way it is. There's a type of therapy out now that's called acceptance therapy. And when people can get to a place of acceptance, they're so much happier. Now, you say to me, how do you expect me to accept this? And the only thing that I can say is, there is a bigger reason that we can't see. I mean, there is a bigger reason. You know, when you compare our thinking to the thinking of, I'll call it the divine source, God, whatever it is for you, our thinking is at such a low level, it's a human bodily level. And the universe has things so divinely orchestrated that we can't even imagine how that could be a good thing. I remember many years ago giving a talk in Tampa, and Naples, it was in Naples. And this woman came up to me afterwards, and she was all bubbly, and she was about 60. And she said to me, you know, the best thing that ever happened to me was when I got diagnosed with cancer. Well, back then, that was about 15 years ago, I really thought there was something wrong with her, because I didn't know what I know today. And I said, why? And she said, oh, I just notice things now. I notice the flowers, I notice the smells. I'm just so appreciative. She said, I just have such a better quality of life. And I realize I'm not a victim. I realize that this is really a gift. And my grandchildren are watching me enjoy this quality of life. And so it's really a gift. And can anyone see that? I can see that now. I'm seeing some heads shaking. If you choose to see it as a gift, it will be a gift. If you choose to see it as, oh my, what am I ever going to do? And you start thinking about how sick you're going to be and what it's going to be like to lose your hair, and you start dreading all of that, it will make it more challenging for you. But it's so difficult not to do that. So I encourage you to think about rising above it and being positive anyway. Being positive anyway. So I asked you to think about the last time that you remember being happy. One of the best ways to generate happiness in your life, we all know, is to do things for others. I had my grandson living with me for about a year and a half. He's 16 now, he was 15. And we went through McDonald's, and he said, and so I said, Brandon, I'm going to pay for the carload of people behind us. And then I was joking with him. I said, I hope it's not a whole carload. I hope it's just, because we were coming home from a hockey game. I said, I hope it's not a whole carload of hockey players behind us, because they'll be hungry and put me in the poorhouse. And he said, you aren't going to pay for that car behind us. Oh, my dad would have it fit. Well, I said, Dad can have it fit, but I'm going to pay for the car behind us. And, you know, just him seeing that, he still brings that up. Just seeing that, paying it forward. These are the types of things where you can influence your family legacy. You can influence. It doesn't have to be the way it's always been. And that's also part of my mission. And my issue has been trying to accept that I can't change all the family legacy that I have in my generational history, but that I can make a little bit of an improvement in some areas. One of the best ways to generate happiness is every day, and I do this every day, almost every day, is to, in the morning when you get up, write in a gratitude journal 5 things that you're grateful for. Because what it does, it pulls us out of victim mode, and it pulls us actually into a different vibration, a personal frequency vibration. And they have actually done, again, MRI studies on this, and people that have written for a couple of weeks, written the 5 things every morning and every night that they were grateful for. Now, some people really had to dig deep. And then they did the MRI scans on their brains. You know, just showed the activity in their brains. And then they did the serotonin and dopamine level testing. Those are the 2 neurotransmitters that make you feel good. Serotonin, an antidepressant, will increase the amount of serotonin in your body. So, and an anti-anxiety medication will increase the dopamine in your body. These are all feel-good neurotransmitters in the body. And so they did all of these tests, and just by doing that, and again, that's part of our spirit, to be in touch with who we really are, in touch with our own spirit, and know that we were put on this earth to be happy and to generate happiness around others, and to create happiness and to give happiness, and then we get some of the happiness too. So what do I say? What do I mean when I say get in touch with your own spirit? Getting in touch with our own spirit is basically our soul's essence. And the way that I get in touch with mine is by being in nature, or actually when I'm on an airplane above the clouds, I get that feeling again. It's just a feeling of being very close to God or something. It's just a feeling of when you're in touch with your own spirit, it's almost like a piece of the divine is in you and you're in touch with it. And it gives you such a sense of peace. And once you generate that and learn how to access that within a few seconds, it doesn't matter what the situation is out here. And believe me, since I've been here since last Thursday, I've had many, many challenges. And I could have very easily gotten pulled out of my groundedness. But, you know, I would even go in the bathroom, just be quiet, get in that peaceful place, that peaceful state, and we all have it. We all have it. Now, do we want to go living in the clouds in that peaceful state all the time? Well, ideally, yes, but realistically, no, because we have to live in the world around us. But the more that we can live in that peaceful state, where your blood pressure goes down or remains normal, where the positive thoughts flow very easily, all of those things, those are the times when you're actually living for God when you do that, because that's how He wants you to be. And so when you are peaceful, you can imagine the smile that is down upon you. From Lisa Rankin. Lisa Rankin is a medical doctor who realized after treating many, many patients and giving them medication that she realized it wasn't working for them. So she talks about giving the patients a survey and asking them, she asked them, what would it take to make your ailment go away? Whether it was a backache, whether it was cancer, or what would be very crucial to that going away? And the patients would write, if I could get out of that crappy job that I hate to go to every day, or if I could get out of that horrible relationship I'm in, or if I could whatever. And she did a lot of research, she found that when people wrote their own prescriptions for what they really needed in order to get well. By the way, I love this man's concept of better than well. Imagine being better. From the series. Okay. Yeah. But it's still imagine being better than well. We have the capability of being better than well. It starts up here. And I'm off on a tangent again, but you know, I thought that when people got 40 or 50 or 60 years old, that they got in the rocking chair and started rocking. And I for some reason, I resisted that. And I think it was because, you know, when I was in Florida, I went to the gym and I saw these 80, 90-year-old people. In kickboxing class, this little 82-year-old woman, she would be there at 6 o'clock in the morning doing kickboxing. And I could barely keep up with her. And I'm thinking, you know what? It is all up here. It's whatever we think. If we think we're going to get old and decrepit, as we get old, we will. And if we don't, we might not. It's just a thought, just a thought. So anyway, Lisa Rankin wrote this book, Mind Over Medicine. It's a new book that's out. And if you're on Facebook, like her Facebook page, because she puts some amazing quotes on there daily. And I want to read a couple of things that she talks about with regards to wellness. If I can find it. Oh, she talks about loneliness and how destructive loneliness is. Now, in a community, small community, I don't think there's as much loneliness as there are in like cities where I come from. People are very isolated. There is a lot of loneliness. And she writes, everyone feels lonely from time to time, but for some people, loneliness becomes the norm. Canadian psychologist Valo Surmat, who studied loneliness, estimates that 10 to 30% of people suffer from a pervasive feeling of loneliness. In another study, 16% of people responded to a newspaper advertisement described themselves as being lonely most of the time. Among lonely people, 37% described their health as poor or very poor. So what they've done is they've done lots of studies on people that experience loneliness. Their health is worse. So for an elderly person, the very best thing you can give them is a little bit of your time. Just a little bit of the time. You might not think that you're helping their ailments, helping their physical state. You're doing a huge improvement for them. And by the way, I forgot to tell you, at 8:15 they're serving food. Sandwiches and all kinds of goodies. I told you I'll go off on little rampages here and there. Okay, there's a big thing in the news and in research nowadays on authentic happiness, and Marty Seligman has done so many studies on happiness and what creates happiness and how it affects our health. Actually, at Harvard University and also at Stanford, there's a class on happiness, and it's called Happiness, and there's a wait list. Imagine a huge university like that, and there's a wait list for people to get into this class on happiness. I'm trying to find, okay, here's something that Marty Seligman done. He conducted a study and taught a single happiness-inducing strategies to a group of severely depressed people. Although these people were so depressed they could barely climb out of bed, they were instructed to do one simple task every day. Go to a website and write down 3 good things that happened to them that day. Within 15 days, their depression improved from severely depressed to mildly or moderately depressed. 94% of them reported feeling better. I mean, something as simple as that. If we focus on gratitude, focus on things that we appreciate in life. It's so simple. You know, we heard our parents talk about this, but now we're realizing that our lives and our health depend upon this. If we focus on happiness, we focus on gratefulness, it is our health. We can become healthy just by doing that alone. Not that alone, but that is a huge part of becoming healthy. Focusing on being grateful. But where does our mind go? It goes on everything that's ever bad that's ever happened to us, and it goes on everything bad that might happen to us, and it goes on every ailment and every pain that we're feeling right now. Our minds, we are problem solvers as human beings, and our minds typically gravitate towards the negative, towards what's wrong. And so we need to really work on training ourselves to focus on what's right. I want you to think right now something that's right in your life right now. Deep breath. Something that is right in your life. My guess is that if you only knew how the universe was conspiring in your favor, you would never feel gloomy again. Think about all of the synchronicities and the miracles that have happened in your life. Little miracles. Start with the little miracles. And all these, you know, where you bump into someone at the grocery store and they tell you something, just what you needed to hear at a certain time. You hear a song. These aren't all coincidences. These are all divinely orchestrated just for you. What we need to do is wake up and pay attention. We need to pay attention to just how gifted we are and how many gifts we have been given. I want you to think of a gift that you've been given this week. Within your family, a gift that you've been given. Deep breath. I want you to think about how you can do something kind for someone tomorrow. I want you to plant that in your mind tonight, about how you can do something kind, and it's going to be a surprise for them. And they're going to think you're up to something. How you can do something kind for someone tomorrow. Why? Because studies have shown that when we do kind things for other people, it raises our serotonin levels. That's one way to raise your own serotonin levels. Doing something kind. We're in charge of our own health. Mentally and physically, we are in charge. We just need to know what to do. We need to know what makes us feel better. Deep breath. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because laughter, when we laugh, our serotonin levels go through the roof. Would everybody stand up? We're going to laugh. Now, I know, you know, when I was in Scottsdale, I did a talk at a library last year, a year and a half ago, and it was on laughter therapy. And some people had not laughed in like 20 years. And so it was very uncomfortable. And that's okay, it's very uncomfortable, but they have laughter yoga now. So I had a laughter therapist come in, and she was an expert at it, but I watched what she did. And so all you do is laugh, and laughter is contagious, and I will start. And he just came in the house and started laughing, and I thought, oh, and he just laughed and laughed and laughed, and you sleep so much better. On your drive home tonight, I want you to laugh, and then nobody will see. If people see you driving by, they might think you're crazy. That's okay. They don't know what's going on. I want you to laugh. We can laugh. That's called manually getting our laughter going. You don't need a reason. Thank you for sharing that with me. I think I did get almost it. I think I got it